Hello, everybody. Wait, we muted from here. Hey, um, I just need 1 second so that I can like set up my screen right because I just realized I made a mistake. So give me 1 second. Let me turn this off and let me turn this on. Um, yep, and we're set. We're ready. We're rolling again. Okay. Hi. There's 3 people here. That's one more than I thought there will be, but all good. Should we start already or should I wait for people to come in? I think before any of that happens, it's important for me to let you guys know what the topic was. So this, should I just type it instead? Because my handwriting sucks ass. Also, let me know if you can't hear me fine or if you hear me too loud, anything like that, because I'm here to have you guys hear me just fine. I need to put my webcam on top. And now, we're here, we're ready. Right. So, the topic of this week's submission was topic of this week's challenge. That's so bad. Can you be a bit loud? Okay, yeah, sure. Um, Give me a second. Need to put my mic inside of my mouth. Yo. I think this should be fine. Are my levels okay now? Can you hear me fine? I think you should be able to, because I can see the levels here, and they seem pretty okay. All right. So the topic of this week's challenge was matte painting. I should have calculated this better. Matte painting. Now, what is matte painting? Does anybody here know what matte painting is? If you do know, please write away. But if you do not know what matte painting is essentially painting a large mat for there to be like footage on top of. Essentially, like it's a term that comes from like movie making and stuff. So you create images like this, images that follow the uh, ratio of a screen, which is usually 16 by 9. This is a different ratio, which doesn't matter. Um, Oops. So yeah, a matte painting is basically like it could be mountains. There could be like a weird little structure here, something which has like a story to it, a face or something, some shit like that. Have it go like that. You can have our clouds here, all of that. So we see a lot of this in like Ghibli movies. So if I just search for Studio Ghibli matte painting, I know you can't see my screen, which I can change right now, and now you can see my screen. So if we see Studio Ghibli's like matte paintings, you can see like all of these things, they're called matte paintings. They're basically like landscape shots on top of which you put like your elements. This is obviously like CG, but stuff like this is also a matte painting. If we look at more examples of matte painting, we can see that it differs. There's a lot of like, you can have a lot of dynamic range. You can put in a lot of you can put in a lot of like detail into it. You can have a lot of lighting play. Yes, Chiba, man, you fucked it up. I was getting to that, but it's fine. So yeah, you can have it like atmospheric. It can basically, the point of a matte painting, when we talk about it from an art perspective only, is that it should be like that frame should be able to tell a story, like what's happening, like what are these two people looking at, what is like what is the story behind this structure, you know, stuff like that. Now when we look at, say, a movie like Star Wars, because Star Wars was shot in a time where CG wasn't like a major thing. It was done at a time where, they had to manually create like blue screen cutouts and all of that. It was hectic the way they did their CG, and everything is CG, but everything is also based on a certain model. They would create those models. So when we look at Star Wars matte paintings, we have, stuff like this. This is actually a matte painting. So they created like batches of these stormtroopers, and Darth Vader, I think, walked through this lane, if I'm remembering it correctly. But yeah, see, like, Star Wars used a lot of CG. Like, look at this. This is a matte painting, and the part that they cut out is the part that they replaced with footage and film. So essentially, that is what matte painting is. A lot of concept artists also use matte painting to create something that's more like stylish, like, say, like anime. You can have any style, like anything that works with the narrative that you're going for is a good matte painting. I'm looking at Google, which is not the best place to look at. Like, we can always look at like places like ArtStation and all, but I mean, I want to leave some for you to also like find out. Now, where is matte painting used quite a lot? Like I said, films. Matte painting is also used to plan out concept art. Matte painting is also used as a part of concept art to plan out narratives, to plan out like parts of games and stuff like that. If we look at matte paintings of, say, a studio like Pixar, we can find some like really interesting stuff. You know, Adam Decker is actually a pretty cool artist. Like, so this is matte painting is basically a plate of illustration on top of which like an element of movement comes on top of. So I think this was done for maybe, I don't know which movie that was done for. But see, look at this. This is also in a way a matte painting, in a way, not in like the most technical ways, but in some ways it is a matte painting. So right, that was the challenge for this week's submission round. Like, create a matte painting for yourself. Like, the only sort of a disclaimer was to use like this sort of a ratio, which is 16 by 9, 9 by 16, whatever it is. Okay, right. So I think I'm going to start now. I just wanted to see if I can have, like, if the people that I'm going to be actually creating the pieces and working the pieces on top of are here. So can we have a roll call, please? Like, is Mohit here? Is Figaro here? Is Aditya here? Is Meera here? And is Dheeraj here? Mohit is here. Perfect. So Mohit, you were the first one anyway that I had on my lineup. Yo, Figaro is also here. Meera is also here. Perfect. I think तुम ही लोग देख रहा हो, कोई देख नहीं रहा. But all good. So I think I'll start then, because that is the most important sort of the thing. Okay. Right, let's go. So Mohit created this piece. It's called The Birth of Draupadi. I think I'm saying it right. If like it's about the birth of Draupadi. I don't remember the exact name. Now there's a lot of good things about this piece. Like, we can see that there's like a lot of detail. There's a lot of detail in how Mohit has painted light here. Like, I like it. I think this has a lot of nice balance also. If we were to duplicate it and sort of create like a color palette out of it. Which one was it? Yeah. We can see that's predominantly a lot of blues with like some shades of mustard and brown and some greens. So that is the major, that's the first first wall that you hit creatively. There's a few ways that, you know, Mohit, you can like improve this. I should duplicate it again. The first is, uh, I'm not sure who this character is supposed to be. Like, is this King Drupad, or Yajuna Seni? Because if it is King Drupad, I think like the involvement with the fire needs to, it's Vyasa. Okay. So I'm not, I read a lot of the Mahabharata, but I don't remember all of the story. So I'm sorry if I like, you know, make a mistake in terms of the narrative, but I'm gonna try and like tell you things that fix the painting. Sorry about being like coffee. Is that a word? My coffee is all the coffee who yaar. Okay. So the first thing that is required is an understanding of like perspective, which is not happening here. You know, like this area is supposed to be the foreground of the image, and this area is supposed to be the background. This is also part of the background, but it's sort of some like it falls in the middle. So if this is the foreground, like my hand is the character interacting with the screen, this distance right now is the bridge and I'm the background, you know. So this sort of becomes that bridge area. These are not like technical terms, like nobody calls it the bridge. I'm just choosing to call it the bridge right now because I don't know what else to call it. Okay, so the first thing that I would do is bring the action a little bit closer. As human eyes, like as the human eye um, sees things, is that it tries to look for like human features the most. So I'm gonna try and like make it a little bit bigger. Gonna put it somewhere here, and I'm just like loosely going to paint over your painting. Maybe play some music. Actually, you won't be able to hear it, I think. Okay, so you know this is sort of like an idea, making this area a little bit closer. Now see that there's a lot of like dark shadows forming on top of your Vyasa character, you know. So we need to have those shadows like sort of be consistent in a way. Like right now they're not being consistent. Right now they're just like, because see there's shadow here, but there's no shadow here. There should be like a consistent sort of a shadow pattern sort of happening throughout this image, you know. Now because we're putting this darker shadow, I'm going to use the round brush actually, because I like to show that the round brush is like pretty like strong in terms of what it can do. Okay, so since we're like using this dark of a color, it's important to have that spread out, like have parts of the painting, parts of the, actually I need to use this because it works more with the finish of this. um so so yeah, like I mean you sort of need to have that color balance out. Like if you put a black here and there's no like dark shadows happening here, then the painting sort of looks a little bit flat. And the closer you are to the screen, like the closer I go with my hand here, the darker that gets, the darker that subject in the front gets. So I'm gonna try and like spend maybe 20 minutes per piece, because I decided to do like all five instead of doing like, you know, just three, because that's just like leaving two people out. So we did that. Now we sort of want to understand where the light is coming from. That ideally should be the first thing that you do. Ideally should have been the first thing that I did too, but I got a little bit overwhelmed by the scale. Okay, so now what's happening is that these two colors, like your like your flame and your tree, they're both like colliding. So you need to find a way to make it work. A good idea would be to throw in some like splashes of green here, like just a little bit, like not very saturated greens, but just like very, very dull, sort of grayish greens, so that you hint at the fact that there is indeed, a tree here. Okay. Uh, so now we start making this flame a little bit bigger. Now we can start like sort of taking risks with the piece. I make this flame a little bit bigger. This is a nice time for me to use my textured brushes because that helps with replicating quick textures quickly. I feel like I'm getting a little bit fixated on just like correcting these parts of the image, but all good. We'll go and do others as well. Now we put in some. Okay, so I think that looks slightly better than it did before this. The same thing we need to do with like the skin part. Obviously, it could be like a very creative choice to not have, the tones of the skin and have the whole thing painted as, a shade of blue. And that's perfectly fine, but there needs to be a little bit of like a value displacement happening. But what I mean by value displacement is that like everything cannot be the same sort of a color. That does not introduce any sort of hierarchy in like viewership. Like when you look at this, it's slightly difficult to understand what you want your viewer to look at, you know. So which is why we're sort of like aiding to the viewer that, hey bro, you want to check this out? Maybe you want to check this out? You want to check this shit out? So stuff like that, you know. Okay, so we did this. We're gonna splash some like more blacks and greens here. Slight shade of like maybe very grayish sort of a skin tone. Like I'm keeping it predominantly blue, but I'm just adding like splashes of color here and there. Okay, add some more color here. Key light, as people like to call it. I think it's key light itself. I'm not sure if it is key light or not. Right, so that is one. The second thing, which is, first of all, you have like these weird like purple lines on your canvas. I think it's a layer that you probably forgot to turn off maybe. Right, so let's move on. So now we want to start like, I'm going to put this whole thing and make it like slightly darker. Take some of this color here, throw that there. Baraboop, baraboop, baraboop. Okay, so now the next thing is that this city, that's like this fire that's happening, is not looking like there is not a sense of like drama happening here as yet. And that's because there is no like depth. You know, these patterns, like these things that you've added here, they kind of don't look like anything. I know maybe you might have tried to make it look like debris or like a town or something like that, but it's just not doing its job as yet. And again, I'm not fixating on the story part. I'm only fixating on the compositional problem solving of this image. Yeah, like I think what angry noodles. It's so weird to just say those things like seriously. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's right what Angry Noodles has said. Yeah, but I mean, what Angry Noodles saying is also right, because you know the subject is not eye catching, and also like by increasing the scale and changing the position a little bit, I kind of like make the eye line meet like where you want it to meet. So we carve some of the mountains out, because I don't think we personally need like so many mountains. Also, this is supposed to be Bareilly, right? Bareilly, or like whatever it is. Like I don't think that place had so many mountains. Who knows? I don't know. We've demolished everything in this world, so um, I'm gonna just like paint over this quickly because this lighting is like this is like screwing with my perception a little bit. Boom, 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 boom. I'm trying to do it like really quickly, so don't like expect like finesse. I'm holding my pen also like this. I barely hold my pen like this, but yeah, like that. I do that when I'm like trying to hold it, sort of trying to make like quick strokes happen. So when we compare this with this, you can already sort of like see that the sense of a tale is a little bit better. Like there is a sense of like storytelling happening already. Now to establish a town, and a town which is this small and a fire that is this large is not a good idea. Like it almost looks like the town is on fire. So we flatten out this whole thing. Okay, now I'm gonna add like a little bit of a place where Vyasa is standing here. Because I feel like uske bina it just kind of looks like he's floating somewhere. So we add, in a sense, a platform for him. We use some dark shades of green here, darker maybe, and hint at some more vegetation surrounding him. Okay, so I guess that kind of like shows it a little bit. I'm not sure. Does it? Are you able to understand like what's happening here? Is there a platform? Like, do you get a sense of a platform now, or is it still a miss? Oh, now I'm gonna do like some really like a call sort of a thing, but people do this like just add like a black thing here. I'll do this later actually, but it's really dumb. Right. So now we've added like mountains here. You know, sort of establish more depth in these bad boys. Oh, I have a rock brush. I can use that. I barely get to use that. Yeah. So we're now zooming in because when we zoom in, this will look like dog shit. But the whole idea is to understand the image and how that would work. Oh, the major thing was that you had a moon here, which I sort of cropped out because I was trying to fit this entire image in like the 16 by 9 frame. But let's say the moon was a crescent. Actually, let's go with your choice because I really like that positioning of the moon. Yeah. So now make the moon the polar opposite in terms of like the temperature. So right now your image is sort of like going from one temperature to the other. Like it's sort of warm here, and it's sort of moving towards a colder uh, plane. Now, like if you want the clouds to split, you have to kind of understand like how clouds work and which cloud would do that. I am not going to change your clouds as of now because I just feel like that would make it like too complex, like just doing that. and I have 5 more minutes to work on your piece. So now what I'm gonna do is, what am I gonna do? Create some more depth here. Right, now this light is falling here, right? So it has to kind of react to the surfaces that it's falling on. And that would increase your value scale like substantially. Light changes perceptions like when you the perception of light changes as you sort of, create a range. So like even though this might seem like would it happen, you can check like pictures of rivers, pictures of like mountains at night. They do reflect, they do be reflecting, they do be. Okay, so we've done that here. We sort of like do a rougher job here so that we can show that this mountain is farther than that mountain. Then we use the same sort of a color, make it a little bit darker, and have that be right here. Now we're using the same-ish color to hint at the fact that this is also fire. And you also add these like little flicker sort of things. Right. तो अब ये करा हमने. We put, a base under it. It could be anything. Actually, I need to use like a blue sort of a base here. A saturated orange to just like sort of, yeah. Now we throw that light on the ground to make that ground react to that light. I still feel like this lighting is a little too big. Sorry, this flame is a little too big, but I do want to keep it, closer to your initial sort of idea that you had. Oops. Now here we start putting in like some strokes to show housing. Do I have a brush that can replicate that? No, I don't. So I'm going to just use these blocks. I'm going very, very rough with it because I've like spent already too much time on this piece, I feel. Okay, you sort of go around, you create like sort of various shapes. You don't see, the thing is that what you did here was that you made a pattern, and when you make a pattern, it kind of makes things like you kind of start seeing those things as like, oh, they're a pattern. There has to be like enough chaos in them for a person to be for a viewer, not a person, for a viewer to be able to make out, oh right, this is what it's supposed to be and this is what it's supposed to do. I'm gonna put some dark colors here. I don't know the architecture of that era, so I am actually going to like just work on top of it, because I think like if I just add architecture that doesn't work, the narrative of the piece breaks. So that is something that I kind of have to do my research on before I put that in. So I'm just going to remove that and try to work with like what I have here as my information. Right, तो अब ये कर दिया. Now we take these, because I mean there were people like around that puja as well. We put like a gist of like an idea. Okay, there's like people here. There could be like some people sitting. Take a color, throw that on, have them react with that color, and then create a shadow, of course, so that there's a understanding of light happening. And then yeah, I think this is a little too large, but I'm gonna make it a little smaller. Always cover the whites in your paintings because they kind of like the canvas color of your paintings if it's not. Also, this river does not necessarily like make sense. So if you might want to like either just make it bigger, like much larger, that might help create like variations in shape, create a reflection of Zaman. Yes, please say like this. Create maybe reflection of fire. Who knows? Throw in some dark vegetation here. And I think we're at the tail end of this one. Oh, I have to add the light coming from the sky. Take this, put on, because this area is getting blocked by the mountain, so this would be a little bit darker than what you've made it to be. And make like a see, right now all your mountains are sort of like the same length, you know, like, can you see it? It's all like they're all the same, so it's a good idea that you throw in some variation there. So I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. Make this one go away. And yeah, I don't think like the clouds need a lot of work. Like clouds just need to like cloud. You need to kind of understand what clouds will split to create the lighting effect that you're trying to create. But let's say this is like directly on top of that, the lighting is happening. So I'm gonna use this. It's kind of looking alien a little bit. And don't take white, but take like a color close to it to sort of like hint at it. This just looks like this just looks like an alien invasion is going to happen. But if you just sort of like rough up the edges a little bit, make it look a little bit more like dramatic, and have a refractive light, if that's is that the right usage of that word, happen here. Because see, right now, yeah, I'm not sure if the lighting is the best that I've like put on top of it, because I think, yeah, like I'm trying to do it with the same way that you did, but it's just that the sky will also have to be made like much darker for it to sort of make sense, which I don't think is ideally like a choice that you're willing to make. So right, like I mean, I would personally, oh, I have clouds in my brush bag. Where are clouds? Yeah, right here. So I would personally like sort of change up the clouds also a little bit, like stuff like this. Fucked it up. You know, something like this. I know I'm kind of stopping like because I've kind of gone over it too much, and I think I did some things that were good. Maybe uh not sure as to how you feel about it, but I think there was some things in at least like the process part that you could benefit from. Yes, the lighting is looking kind of alien and weird, and I'm really sorry for that. I was just trying to like rush everything, but it's just that, like, I mean, if 20 minutes, the whole idea is that you need to kind of figure out the composition well in advance before you start, getting into the details. Like building on top of someone's details is difficult if the foundation is not strong from scratch. So if I had like a sort of a canopy happening here, and a bush area happening right here, and my character, which is Vyasa, standing here, and even like the character's body could have like a narrative happening, like maybe he's interacting with the tree that he's standing next to, stuff like that, or like in this hand he's holding that flame. So now you can start like introducing a narrative around it. Like you put your town here, you put your fire here, you put your mountains, stuff like that. You create a narrative here. So this stage is the most important stage in any painting, because you're deciding what to do and what not to do in your process. So yeah, that's Mohit. This is what I did. Not too happy with it, but I think this will do. And this is what Mohit had done. I sort of made a line on top of it. I'm sorry about that. Right. The next piece is by Figaro. I don't think there's anything like wrong with this piece. I really like it. I really like how stylized it is. It was a very small image that I had gotten, so I had to like make it a little bit larger. The only thing that I would sort of like ask again is to understand, like, the closer the thing is to a viewer, the darker it would be. So the shadows here, you can make them slightly darker. Now I can use the hard round brush. Yeah, you can make the shadows slightly darker. I'm going to make the shadows slightly redder also, because I feel like they might add to the whole flair of this image. So once you make the shadows darker, you start seeing areas that you probably wouldn't have noticed, that this carpet or the thing that's on top of the camel is not as involved with the lighting as it should be. So I'm going to do that. Make it slightly darker. Same with the green here. Okay, now we have like an understanding of where light is coming from and what it's doing, and now we can sort of fill out the shadow space that we have here. Now, because of the positioning of the camel, I really like the concept, by the way. I feel like this has such a nice like narrative to it. I think you should like really, like, if it's something that you write about or pursue as a story, this is something that you definitely, if you aren't doing that, sorry, you should definitely think about, maybe like creating a narrative around this idea, like not a full-blown like story, but anything that you feel like might add a little bit more nuance and detail to it. Okay, so now the problem is that because of where the because of where the camel is, your character might get blocked because of the shadows. So I don't want to change the character's position, because I think it does like a really good job. I suggest that you just make it darker, like make the character fit in a little bit, but have it very, very clear that the character is like floating. And for a float, I feel like if there is a sense of a lack of gravity, maybe in his clothing or in its clothing, I don't know, like if this is supposed to be like, I don't know what the pronouns are. So yeah, and now we add like this little floaty shadow here. We add a floaty shadow, sort of like going, yeah, but this is very, very dark compared to this. So we need to sort of like bring that dynamic range a little bit closer, and we make the shadow slightly darker. The round brush is an amazing tool, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if this rock is supposed to be floaty. I'm just gonna like extend it a little bit. And since this area is so dark now, this also needs to be a little bit darker. Right. So yeah, I think there's a lot of like a narrative happening here, like this, and then this interaction, which is not coming through because of how evenly lit everything is. So I suggest, if you might be interested, hmm, I'm thinking I want to have some like more float happen here. Okay. Oops. So I feel like there needs to be a guiding light happening so that you understand who that character is and what they're doing. Like right now, the character is like sort of just standing there. Like what if uh, we take this guy right here, make him much less saturated, even a little bit darker. Now we throw in some highlights because I feel like now they're sort of closer. Yeah. Okay. So now if we throw in some like highlights to establish a sense of color and light. I really like the way you done your clouds, man, by the way. I don't want to touch them. They look so perfect just as they are. Now, by the by by the way, we're introducing light on top of this sculpture here. We can use that to our sorry, I'm a little too late. 1 second. Yeah. So is Figaro here? Because he hasn't said anything. So we use that to our advantage to tell the story that we want to tell. Now, if we put this floating lady, pick a color from here, make it a little bit darker, put our lady right here, have like a bright light fall on her, him. I don't know, man. This character. Let's just call them the character. Oh no, I'm late. No, I didn't do yours. So it's fine. But you shouldn't be late. That's true. You are late and you should feel bad about that. Okay? So now, because I made it a little bit darker, you can sort of make out that subject better, I feel. Um, why am I so insecure about these choices that I make? I'm doing this in like 20 minutes. It's obviously not going to always be like great, but I shouldn't be that. I should be like more confident about myself and these choices that I'm making. Let's have this color like reflect a little bit on the gray, because that always adds a little bit more like dynamism to it. It's actually the same person beside the camel. Oh, that's even more interesting. That's fucking like, I really like that concept, man. That's brilliant. Okay, so that's pretty much all that I would change about this piece. Any suggestions by anybody else that they think like we can probably make those changes in here? I'd love to like, have you guys sort of give each other feedback also, because I feel like that is the most important thing. Like peer reviews are always great fun if they're like helpful, obviously. Yeah, this is sort of my take on your piece. I think, yeah, I think I did a nice job here. Let me know if the direction of the shadows can be matched to where the sun is. Yes, this is what I was just getting at. I was going to say, let me know if I can change the position of the shadow. Sorry, change the position of the sun, because the sun here is like kind of, like ruining things a little bit. So if we like make this the secondary sort of a light source, like cover it up a little bit. And put in more of these, like just so that this is established that there is not like one celestial body on this planet. Stuff like this. And oh yeah, I really think that you should make these like slightly darker and have this shadow. Oh yes, this was the first thing that I thought of. Why did I forget this? Yeah, when you make it darker, what's going to happen is that this shadow is going to fall here. And once this shadow falls here, the view is sort of aided by the light that, hey, there's no light here, there's no light here. We as humans, like, we seek light, to tell us what to look at, which is why by making this darker, I was able to have that character come into like the focus. But right now, if you were to use the shadow a little bit smarter, we create that vibe again. Like we sort of make this whole thing dark. Yeah, now you've created that, you know, sort of like a vibe with it. Again, like if I were to use this brush to make things a little bit more sharp and painterly, I use this brush the most, and people have asked me like, you use this brush in like every painting video that I've put up. I think so far I've used it at least like once. I've made this brush, and I made it because I really wanted a brush like this. So it fits all of my needs. Yeah. Right. One last thing, make parts of this brighter to show light. Yeah, I think that's where I would stop with yours. This is this is the piece that you made. This is my rework on top of it. I think you did a really good job, and I really like the concept. I think this can be developed into like a story. If I were feeling more like freaky and adventurous, I would like make this a little bit bigger, you know, and distort the fuck out of it. Like maybe something like this, and introduce some more of these like gray structures here. But I'm not gonna do that because that's less like changing your concept and your narrative a little bit too much. But yeah, really good job, man. Very good job. Okay, Aditya, I think this was called, what was it called? I really like the name of this one. Uh, Let me just look it up. Yeah, it was called The Beckoning Buddha, which I really liked. The only few things that are like my major issue. Not issue. Issue sounds so negative. The first thing that I would do is that I would probably bump up like the saturation a little bit to match and balance out the reds. So your blue. Wait, I need to duplicate this. Oops. So your reds are too red, you know. So I'm gonna bump up the saturation of the bump it up. Yeah, are these my brushes that you used here? I'm gonna in like a little bit change the hue slightly. Yeah, that's one. So it automatically, you know, balances out the contrast bit of it. I think yeah, you did. I see some of them. Okay, now the second thing that I would do is this guy is getting lost, man. Like I do not see him. I do not see him. I do not see him at all. So what I would do is either like make him much larger or make this character have a little bit more, because I also don't think the character is like walking in the right sort of a direction. Like I would ideally, I don't know, I think like it would be ideal if they were to, yeah, if they were to walk through this uh, bone structure that's forming here. So yeah, that's what I would do. I don't know how to paint camels, so I'm not going to try. But since the scale is so small, I might be able to do a okay job. Yeah, like by making this character like a less saturated than the rest of the screen, I feel like it kind of adds to the like the depth of the image. And now to extend the shadow a little bit like this, we're telling a story of this guy, like, or is this supposed to be, but I don't know. You know, sort of passing through this area. You can definitely make parts of your image much darker. Ouch. I'm crying, guys. You do such beautiful work. I'm crying. So we can use parts like, sorry, we can make parts like a little bit darker. Make sure that there are parts which will react to the light. Like so. And yes, the main part was this water reflection. So if you were to just select this roughly, fill that color in, reduce the brightness, sorry, opacity. Yeah, I think like overall you've done a solid job. More than like adding, just like expanding on your value scale. There's not much that I would suggest that you do. You know, let's just like make parts dark, make darker parts darker, make their shadows a little bit more consistent. Think about like what's happening in these pieces. You know, so small rework, nothing too major. This is what I did. Sorry, this is what you made, and this is what like slight overwork with this piece could look like. You know, I really like how you've like done the camel. So I don't think that you should stick with what I'm doing, but I'm just saying that the lighting inside. Oh fuck! I'm so dumb. The lighting inside of that. Yeah. Now, I mean, obviously, this is not like super like realistic. You can obviously like spend time and like do it better. But yeah, what do you think, Aditya? What do you think about the rework? Also, I just want to like pause for like two and ask what do you guys think about your rework. Mohit, what do you think? Figaro, what do you think? And Aditya, what are your opinions? These pieces are so cool though. Join the Discord, Samyukta. We have fun there. We have lots of fun there, and I know you're doing like lots of work, so it's fine. The addition of dark, yeah, like if you just balance out your values, like obviously, like you can have an idea that you're like, hey, I want to make things, I want to make this a little bit less contrasty. But when you make it less contrasty, like let's look at this one's work. Michael Carson works a lot with like Michael Carson works a lot with like low contrast, but you can see like his color selection is what sort of makes for that lack of contrast. So when you choose varied hues, you can introduce varied lighting scenarios without really, like, this piece has contrast in the lower half but none on the top, but we're still able to see it because of the hues and the values that he's chosen. So choose right colors and you'll have like a nice little result out of it. I love the change in hue. That changed the piece tenfold. Yeah, yeah. I think like that adding that you know little blue in the sky really balances out the strong reds. Okay, so Mira did this piece and I really like it. Mira, are you here? Yo, okay. So we'll start with Mira's piece. I really like it because of like one, amazing brushwork happening here. Two, there's like a very strong sense of lighting, but the lighting is getting lost because this tree trunk is this dark, but the leaves are only this dark. Like shadows don't shadows are like very weird, they don't care about like what your color is most of the times. Like sometimes shadows react to like the color of the subject, but a lot of times, like if it's an overarching shadow, it will take over your subject. uh yes. So again, I'm going to use just like a like quick little brushwork thingy here. We're just ensuring that the dark looks like the dark. Gone a little overboard with it. Let me turn it back. Okay, yeah. Now we take this beautiful shade of yellow that we have here and sort of like throw it all around our tree trunk. The shape of this tree is like kind of confusing me a little bit, so I'm gonna make some changes to that. Like add a little bit of this branch right here. Yeah, I think this is kind of looking better. Yeah, like the tree is not just a cluttered collection of leaves. Now it has some more like structure and identity to it. And now we might want to make it slightly thicker at the bottom. That's what she said. Would she say that? I don't know if she would say that. Okay. Sorry for butchering your signature, Mira. Okay, I'm gonna make this part a little bit darker. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah. Slightly to just dial home the fact that there is indeed, a shadow here. I kind of like I don't think this is the right way to go about it. I don't think like adding like a darker shade might work for this piece. So I'm going to let it be. I'm going to let it be. Okay. So I'm happy with the shape of this tree. If she was a dog, she would say that. Okay. Um okay. So I'm happy with the shape of the tree now. Now all that needs to be done is to make it a little bit more, dramatic. With like we can do that simply using a lasso tool. Obviously, I would suggest that you paint it because like when you paint it, you kind of think of more things. But I think like just to show you what I mean by improving, like what I mean by the fact that you can improve your composition using these. I don't know what the fuck was I saying. I don't know what the fuck I was saying. Okay. So when we add like some more blacks to it, we sort of add to the dynamic range of the frame. I also think that if we were to merge this, take this boy. Whoa, the tree is attached. Yeah, fuck it, let's do that. Okay. What did I do? Dang it. Okay. If you were to take this whole thing and make it slightly smaller. Round brush time. Now I have no idea how to make these beautiful tree trunks like Mira did, but I'm gonna try. This is why working with layers is a good idea. You can have elements and like split them apart and do all of that, but that's not what we're doing. We're just trying to figure out you know what works and what doesn't work. Okay, now the same thing with the tree here. Throw in our leaves. And just to make like a pocket of light happen here, I'm gonna put dark and light just absolutely together. Smush them. Smush them cheeks. Okay. Mira, I can't do trees like these branches as beautifully as you have, so please don't mind my lack of expertise in that domain. Okay. Ah, yeah, I think I'm stopping here for this piece. I do have to finish these pockets. So yeah, Mira, what do you think? And also everybody else, what do you think? Do you think this rework fits, or like what are your opinions, my dudes? Eh, I mean, I thought it would look better, but it didn't. Oh, yeah, we can use this. You can use this guy here. But yeah, this is what I think is my upper limit for working on this piece. You've done this, I made it into this. Like, I think it was just a matter of like introducing, oops, some sort of, again, depth to it, you know. Yeah, like I think Mira's very talented, by the way. You should check out her work, guys. Um, but yeah, like I think more than anything, because I still feel like this tree's shape could overall be better, you know. the tree that I've made, but it's restricting. I'm restricted by the initial composition. Like if I were to maybe have the tree a little bit more like this, if it, what the fuck am I doing? If the tree was a little bit more like this, it would look better. And if this tree was a little bit more like this, it would look better, because then all of this area would let light like sort of create like all of these like various beautiful ripples into it, but keeping your original piece in mind. I think it's a solid you know foundation that you'd given me, and I think like working on top of that, you should not be afraid of like changing your composition, because I think like once you change, like it shows a lot of growth and development to change, to work on your composition. Like, yeah, I just kind of think that way. But I understand it's a very rational fear. Ki fuck, I've already spent so much time on this. Should I change it or not? It's fine. Okay, last piece. This is by Dheeraj. We're just a little over an hour, so I'm quite happy with how this has been going so far. And that rhymed. And that makes sense. Because I used to rap for a very short period in my life. Okay, so we take this. My whole problem with this piece is that it's not letting me feel like this guy is like strong enough, the one in the foreground. So to do that, I'm gonna just like change the layout a little bit. Dheeraj, are you here, by the way? I don't want to do this like without him being here. Also, why is there a random rock in between? I don't think there should be a rock. Like I think rock ko bolo bye bye. Okay, a rock here I'm okay with. Like I think this makes more sense. But I really like the way I really like the color choices that you made. Like there's some like incredible colors in here. I also don't know why there is like a sudden patch of brown grass. I think it could be because of the lighting or the rock that's blocking the light, but not entirely sure why. धीरज भाई तुम हो भी इधर या नहीं? हाँ भाई. It's so funny when people say हाँ भाई without the A-A-N. Are you guys हाँ gang or are you हाँ gang? Like how do you type your ha's? I type like H-A-A-N because I respect my vyakran. But let me know. Are you a H-A-A person or are you a H-A-A-N person? If you do actually text in Hindi, because there's some people that don't speak Hindi here. Ji haan. It's the right way, right? Makes sense. I want to make this character more smaller. Oh, I think I want to fuck this character. No, like what I mean is, I think I'm going to remove this character from here for now, because I think there's something better that you can do with the placement of this character. The first thing first, I'm gonna eat your face. Does she say eat your face? Eat your brains. Eat your brains, of course. Fucked it up on live, like a live stream with 11 people watching. All good. 11 people will remember that I fucked up a legendary relic. All good, dude. Okay. No, it's Han. What the fuck? It's not Han. It's either how I said it or how Dheeraj said it. Like any other ways, you shouldn't have more ways to say one word. That's way too many ways to say one fucking word. I censored myself like I'm on a rap album. Yo, one fucking way. No fucking way, man. Jesus Christ. Holy man. What the are you talking about? Ah, I'm good at that. Fuck. I'm good at that shit. Dang. Should I use this again? Using the same fucking brush since so long. Dramatic effect. Han? That's nothing dramatic, it just sounds like you're a mouth breather. Okay. Oh fuck. Okay, I'm gonna just like use the round brush because I can't do so many grasses. And that too if I haven't built them up, like it just doesn't make sense to me. Hmm. I'm actually just gonna work on this one again because I feel like I kind of messed it up. See, I think this does not have. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think this does not have. Like me painting over this is, I don't think will help because this has some like issues which are composition based. Like I think first of all, like rethinking like what the narrative of your piece is very important. So let's say your Spartan guy is somewhere in the left hand of the frame. Why keep it on the left side of the frame when you have like a lot of room right in the center part? So if I were to give him this mohawk right here, uh, introduce like some floofiness in the cape, like a sense of, if you want a sense of calm, like that he's here to face whoever he's here to face, and he's known that for a while, then I think I wouldn't add a lot of motion in the body. Basically what I mean is that if your character that's floating is somewhere in the middle of the frame like this, what was the piece again? Yeah, something like this. Don't mind the rough anatomy, please. Somewhere in the air, and I make this character a little bit smaller. Abhi, I understand that it's like, what the fuck is happening, but let me translate my vision in my head into here. And these are like those lightning bolts that were there on your original piece. And if we have our character here, you know, our Spartan boy, holding his something like this. Actually, I want to make this character much more smaller because I feel like the smaller this character is and the more floaty they are, like we can sort of have a more dramatic effect around that fact. Again, I'm not focusing on the anatomy, I'm focusing more on the composition bit. We kind of divide this canvas in like almost a half and introduce a rippling sensation in the um, field. I know this is not a rework, but this is more like something to do with composition because I feel like composition is what a lot of you had like on lock when you made your piece. I mean, I made changes to your composition, but the majority of it was, fine. Also, we try to use the shape of the clouds to sort of create the fact that there is an interaction between these two happening. So, right, I mean, obviously, this is not a rework of your piece at all. But your piece, even though it's like well rendered, well lit, all of that, it's not strong compositionally. And I think this is one way that you can make the composition strong. Another way you can make the composition strong is by introducing the view from this guy, like from the guy who's like floating in the air, the master yogi. Have the lighting still be the same, it's like happening here, and then we have our Spartan looking up, and we have like this beautiful long trail in the field happening, so this has more to do with like how you can rectify the composition than like how I can fix your painting. The one way that I could fix your painting is just by like adjusting the scale, which I've already done, which is I was not super keen on doing it again since I've already done that for like a few people. So we introduce a larger scale here. We balance out the canvas, divide it almost. Continue this rock completely so that the shadow here makes sense. Have this part be the brightest part, and have the sky like clean. Don't have a rock there to, because if you're trying to establish how strong this character is or how like powerful this character that's floating in the sky is, there's no point in like having other things like blocking this character's interpretation. Like you want the viewer to be like, oh fuck dude, this guy is like crazy, like strong, make it smaller. Yeah, so this is like a very quick, rough, shitty little like rework, and you might hate me for like fucking your painting up like this, but I feel this can make it a little bit better. More than this, like more than reworking where your pieces are, you kind of need to go back to the drawing board and think about your composition. So, Dheeraj, what are your opinions? Because we're all Dheerajly waiting. Thank you. I'm a comedy king, yeah. What do I say? Uh, okay, I'm not waiting. Dheeraj, man, come on. I'm waiting. All right. Okay. Okay. I made myself slightly bigger. Not slightly, made myself much bigger. But it's time for us to do the winners now. And there are actually only five paintings today. And I think four of them are by juniors. One, two, three. Okay, so there's three junior paintings and two baby paintings. Mohit here. This painting is a baby painting. Dheeraj's painting is also. Oh, I removed the original painting, but this is also a baby painting. Aditya, Figaro, and Mira are three juniors. So again, like since there are lesser entries this week, for me to have like independent categories, I'm gonna mix those. And your winners for this week challenges: top five artworks. I mean, since there's only five entries, I kind of have to reduce it to like top three. Your top three artworks. The first one, I think, has to go to our man Figaro here. I think Figaro has done like a beautiful job with understanding the extent of you know matte paintings and having a story, having a concept, and having a narrative to it. I really like it. It's understandable, it's readable, the colors are nice, the colors are very strong. Visually, it's a very striking piece, and this was my rework on top of his. The second, I think I would like to give to Mira because of how much brushwork there is and how there is a sense of, you know, story in this house. Uh, the third prize I think I'd like to give to Aditya, mostly because of like how challenging this concept is, like how like thought out and how like brilliantly conceived, and this idea is like so well done. I really like it. So yeah, the juniors have taken all three prizes. So yeah, those were the top three sort of positions as of now, like for this week's challenge. Um, best narrative, I think I'd like to give that to. Hmm, I think best narrative again has to go to Figaro because of just there being a narrative. There's an interaction happening here, but Mohit's piece also comes very close in terms of like, uh, um, you know, in terms of like a narrative. I think Mohit's done like a really good job as well. Like there's an interaction happening. There's a whole like setting. Mohit's piece obviously like loses some sort of that tellingness, like the ability to tell a story because of just misplaced hierarchy that's happening. So Figaro again for the best narrative for this week. Best concept, I think again has to go to Aditya because of like how well done this piece is, because of how like thought out this is, how creatively challenging and like I think it pushes some boundaries. I really like it. All right, and best visual style, I think I'd like to give this to Mohit because of his brushwork, because of his lighting, because of his like understanding of you know uh, placing and creating and just branching out the entire scene. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I have planned for today. I'm gonna write the winners here. Can I do a trophy? I'm gonna try to do a trophy. Eh, okay. uh, Such a bad trophy, but never mind. Number one goes to Figaro. Number two goes to Aditya Patil. Number 3 goes to Mira. Okay, so these are the overall winners. Best narrative. Wow, too fast. Figaro. Woohoo! Wait, I have an idea for you guys. Hold on. Okay. The fuck is that? No. Yes. Can I have it play on loop? Yes. 1 hour applause sounds. Okay. The best narrative goes to Figaro. Best visual style goes to... Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Best visual style, but this is what I meant, not the other one. Best visual style goes to... I'm fucking up. I can't remember it. Yes, best visual style goes to Aditya P. I'm forgetting everything. And I'm so sorry, man. Okay, best concept. I'm forgetting. Okay, so you guys remember the first ratings, the first rank, the first ones are the ones that apply, except for the rankings. Like Mira's still third. Okay, just by the way, yeah, Mira's still third. Yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really glad that you guys submitted what you submitted. And can I make this full screen? Okay, I'm just gonna drag it. I'm really glad that you guys submitted what you submitted, and I'm so happy that you're taking the challenges and taking the risks that you're taking. I hope that the rework that I did was like helpful to you. It didn't feel like "Ye kya kar raha hai?" And yeah, just I hope that you enjoyed today's session. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of the fuck. Where did I put myself? Oh no! How do I get myself back? Fuck. No, wait. Shit. And I hope that you enjoyed yourself. This is all of this is like, like it's I'm learning with you guys. So streaming and everything that I'm doing here is all like me learning with you guys. I hope again that this was fun. And yeah, man, I don't remember the rankings. You don't win or lose anything in art. It's art. Everybody's a winner. Everybody's a loser. Everybody's a winner because they're like creative individuals who are doing what they want to do. But everybody's a loser because you're just fucking drawing or making movies or making songs. So with that said, your rankings don't necessarily matter. You winning, not winning doesn't really matter. All that matters is that you keep at it. All that you should focus on is the fact that you're growing every day as an individual, as an artist. And yeah, please, I'm really excited to see what you guys do next time. And just because you have been watching this for a while, I kind of want to show you a piece that I'm working on, which is a self-portrait that I had in a dream. It's this one. Check this out. This is based on the pictures that I had clicked of me back in college. But it's a dream that I had, that I was in a lake and I was surrounded by like different antlers and deer. And yeah, I hope to finish it soon. Thanks for watching. I hope you had a fun time. 1.5 hour. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace. And let me know if you enjoyed this or you enjoy the video method more. All right. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye. Mwah. Good night.